Let's analyze a new situation here. In an experiment to test the effectiveness of vitamin C on the length of colds, two groups of people with colds are given a pill to take once a day. The pill for one of the groups contains 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, while the other group takes a placebo pill. The researchers record the results in the table. So remember, the word placebo, if you're not familiar with it, is essentially a fake pill that doesn't have any drugs or anything in it, and it's used in experiments to see if the group that takes the fake pill is much different than the group that takes the actual pill. Sometimes when people think that they're taking medicine or a supplement, then their mind kind of overcomes some of their body's feelings, and that's kind of the power of the mind thing. So to do an experiment, people will give the real pill and a fake pill, and just to make sure that the real pill is actually doing what they expect it to do more than the fake pill. And so you can read a little bit more about what placebos mean. I don't know if I really did that explanation justice there, but essentially a placebo is a fake pill. All right, so one of these groups is going to get a fake pill and one of them is going to get a real pill, and then we analyze the data to see is there a difference between the groups. Step number one, write the totals for all rows and columns, how many total people participated. So we'd like to do this, so total, and oops, I kind of took some space here for where I like to write totals, so I'm going to put total here, and then maybe just a reminder, the word placebo means fake pill. All right, so the totals for the group A, 16 plus 17 is 33. So 16 people colds lasted less than a week, 17 people had colds that lasted more than a week. 27 plus 53 for group B would be 80. And just do my little T-chart here. Okay, the row totals, so 16 plus 27 would be 43. 17 plus 53 would be 70. And 43 plus 70 means we have 113. 33 plus 80 is also 113. So there we have it. How many total people participated then? That's that 113 number. So that's how many total people were in the survey. All right, number two, 14% of all participants had a cold that lasted less than a week and were in group A. Okay, so that would be that 16, less than a week and in group A, out of the 113. So just to be clear, that's a 16 out of the 113, and that's the 14%. So they're kind of giving that to us. Oops, not 1,013 or 1,113, but 113. There we go. All right, what percentage of all the participants had a cold that lasted less than a week and were in group B? Okay, so let's just be clear about what we're choosing from in this case. Percentage of all participants, so that's the 113, had a cold that lasted less than a week and were in group B. So cold that lasted less than a week and were in group B. So that's this less than a week and group B, so that's the 27. So we're talking about 27 out of 113. And if we divide those two, 27 divided by 113, we get approximately 0.239, or about 24% of people. 24% out of all the people had a cold that lasted less than a week and were in group B. Okay, next the researchers noticed that among participants who had colds that lasted less than a week, 37% were in group A. So colds that lasted less than a week, so if we're choosing from that group, that'd be that 43 number, and 16 of them were in group A. So that 16 out of 43 is where they got that 37% number. All right, our question is, among participants who had colds that lasted a week or more, so we're choosing from the group that lasted a week or more, what percentage were in group B? So Let's start with the group that we're choosing from. Among the participants who had colds that lasted a week or more. So that's that 70 total. That's 70 people had colds that lasted a week or more. What percentage were in group B? So how many of that group were in group B? So that's the 53. So 53 out of 70, 53 divided by 70 is about 0.757 or about 76%. Okay, that's a little higher number. So of the group that had longer colds, 76% of them were in group B. Interesting. Finally, the researchers notes that among the participants in group A, 48% had colds that lasted less than a week. Okay, so they're giving us this one. So among the participants in group A, so among the 33 people in group A, 48% had colds that lasted less than a week. So colds that lasted less than a week would have been that 16. So that's talking about that 16 out of 33 is what gave us that 48%. Our question, among the participants in group B, what percentage had colds that lasted a week or more? So among the participants in group B, so all the group B participants, so that's that 80. What percentage had colds that lasted a week or more? So of that 80, a week or more would be that 53. So 53 out of the 80. 53 divided by 80 is 0.6625 exactly, but is approximately 66%. So again, among the group B participants, you had people, a larger proportion of people that had a longer cold. All right, number 5, to understand the results, the researchers wanted to know, among the people whose colds lasted less than a week, what percentage are in group B? Among the people whose colds lasted less than a week, what percentage are in group B? So we're going to choose from the group of people whose colds lasted less than a week. Let's go back up here. So colds that lasted less than a week, so that's the 43 total people. I'm going to write that number down, so 43. Among that group, what percentage were in group B? So among that group, we had 27 that were in group B. So 27 out of 43 equals 0.628 or about 63%. All right, so we came up with a bunch of percentages comparing group A and group B. Were there different outcomes for the lengths of colds? Well, it seems like it. So if we're comparing, okay, remember, one of these groups, either group A or group B has a fake pill, and either group A or group B has a vitamin C pill. So what I'm looking at is, did they have about the same things happen in both of the groups? Now there's fewer people in group A than there are in group B. So it's not great. It would be nice if they had the same amount of people in each group and make it a little bit easier. But they don't have the same number of people, but still, one of these groups has the fake pill and one of them has the vitamin C pill. And it seems like there's a different thing happening, right? The group A, about an even amount had colds lasted less than a week or more than a week, just one person difference. Where there's a big difference here in group B, there's a lot more people, a much bigger percent of people that had colds that lasted more than a week. So, yes, group A had a 50-50 or almost split with, I should have provided more space here, with 16 out of the 33, or 16 out of 33, which was our 48% number, having colds lasting less than a week. And the 17 out of 33, or 52%, having colds lasting more than a week. However, when we look at group B, we look back at group B, this is that number right there. Out of all the people that were in group B, 66% of them had colds lasting more than a week. So I'll say in group B, 66% had colds lasting more than a week. Compared to 34%, and the reverse of that, lasting less than a week. So there's a big difference between group A and group B. Group A kind of had that 50-50 split. Now, does group B have a 50-50 split? No, it really doesn't. Group B has a lot larger percentage of colds lasting more than a week. That's interesting. So there is a difference. Okay. All right, second question here. If one group had a placebo fake pill and the other had a vitamin C pill, do you think that the vitamin C affected the length of the colds? Explain your answer. Well, we don't know for sure, but it seems like that because the groups didn't have the same outcome. In one side, you kind of had the same amount of people as the other, less than a week versus more than a week. But in group B, you had a much bigger disparity there. So it seems like the vitamin C pill was maybe given to group A because there's a much smaller percent of people that had colds that lasted more than a week. And in group B, there was a much larger group that had colds that lasted more than a week. So yes, I think vitamin C had an effect and was given to group A. Since that group has a greater percentage of people whose colds were shorter than in group B. 48% of people in group A had colds that were shorter versus only 34% of people that had colds that were shorter in group B. We don't know for sure. We might have to analyze that a little bit more, but it seems like there is a difference between the two. And if there is a difference between the two, it seems like the factor for the vitamin C, if our theory is vitamin C shortens colds, it seems like that was true in group A.